Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Major debushing operation taking place along Dyke Road in Portmore, St. Catherine. 2 homes destroyed by fire in St. Thomas, victims appealing for help. And later in sports, Jamaican all-rounder calls for top-order batting application. I'm Giovanni Dennis and here are the details. Up first, just days after the police called for proper maintenance of Dyke Road in Portmore, St. Catherine, debushing of the area has started. The call was answered by the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA. The project got underway this morning under military surveillance. Workmen were seen removing overgrown shrubs along the road as well as clearing out an entire area further inland with heavy-duty equipment. Several cabinet figures, including local government minister Desmond McKenzie, were on site.
And I am really disappointed that it took an issue involving death, mayhem, and the discovery of illegal weapons and hideout for criminals.
The police had raised concern about bushy areas in St. Catherine following the discovery of a criminal hideout and the subsequent recovery of 6 guns in bushes along Dyke Road last Thursday.
Go on, we will take the program right across other parts of the country, but we want to focus today on the urgency and the need to have this area clean.
To other news, residents of Little London in Negril, Westmoreland are growing frustrated, wondering when it will be their turn to have constant flow of water. Cody and Barrett reports.
Little London residents have been having challenges with consistent water supply for years. They say whenever they do get water, it flows at odd hours.
The only time the water comes in the pipe is 3 o'clock in the night. People can't get up 3 o'clock to catch water. By the time daylight, the pipe gone. No water again. So you live with the water whole day, no water. So half of 1 month, no water. 2 weeks, 1 week out of 1 month, water. The balance of week in the month, no water.
If there's a little rain, they tell you that turbidity, so they operate at 50% capacity, sometimes 60% capacity, sometimes 25%. And even at its best, the pressure is still low.
Residents say they do not know why they have been unable to get water from the Bullstrut water pump. Accustomed to the issue, some residents have invested in their own water tanks. But residents say they would rather pay water bills than to refill tanks. They say the National Water Commission is to be blamed.
Them are the fault. Them is the fault. It's not the government are the fault, you know. And them are the fault. For them to get paid. If you do the service and then not do the service. So then now give the people them the service. So when they feel like turn on the pipe, feel water flood, and when they feel like do it. When they feel like some majority people, then some majority people all 2 weeks straight.
And the cost to truck water is exorbitant.
The price has gone up. So now we have to pay like $4,000 for a 600 gallon of water. You know, if it's 1,000 gallon, it's gonna be more. You understand? And we have really a few trucks, so it's still difficult for us.
Sometimes I think that they are compromising with the water trucks, you know, and the water commission people. I think they're compromising with them, you know. I think they're making some money. Somebody making some money somewhere along the line, you know.
Councillor for the Little London Division, Ian Miles, is calling on the government to revisit a document which seeks to network the water supply in Westmoreland.
It has been there for a while. The last time I spoke to the president of NWC, he said that it was out for tender. And, I'm wondering why this process is taking so long. It's a capital project, one that requires a huge amount of funding. But the monies were realized, hence we need to expedite this process to ensure that our citizens in Western Westmoreland doesn't live like second-class citizens.
Our news team contacted the Corporate Public Relations Manager at National Water Commission NWC, Andrew Cannon, for a response, but he says he's unaware of the issue but would look into it. Cody and Barrett for TVJ News.
And from the west to the east we go as St. Thomas is once again having water issues stemming from ongoing road works in the parish. Another pipe was damaged, this time in Yellow Square, resulting in thousands of gallons of water being wasted along the road. The broken main has also affected residents in Newland and Pondside who are now without the commodity. Residents have expressed frustration.
I don't know, every time I dig up everywhere water burn.
And they got down there some water bus, and when they come as a water bus, and now they work good, you know? Look on the country pipe right now, the water around there. You soon see an next bus again.
And 2 persons are now homeless after a fire gutted their home in Long Level St. Thomas Wednesday morning. The details in this report.
It's reported that about 5 o'clock, fire was seen coming from the 1-bedroom board structure. It's understood that the fire truck was unable to navigate the narrow lane, which added to the crisis. Neighbors who alerted others tried desperately to put out the blaze.
Sound the alarm. I say everybody wake up, go over there, start throw some water and things so we could do. But still burn down, and best part about it never in night.
Somebody come on at my house and say fire, fire, fire. We say fire for what? Them say my guy house burned down. So when I rush around here, it was flatter ground. Nothing at all safe. Nothing at all safe.
One of the occupants, Gary Sterling, is now appealing to the public for assistance.
I don't save anything. Only thing I save is the clothes that I have on me. So I'm asking anyone out there who can assist me with some things. I really appreciate it a lot, you know. I'm really cut up about the situation. Nothing at all I don't save.
Anyone willing to assist Mr. Sterling can do so by contacting him directly at 876-839-4456. No other neighboring houses were damaged. The cause of the fire is not yet known. Cody-Ann Barrett for TVJ News.
Welcome back. We're continuing the news. The Jamaican culture has evolved. That's according to 2 culture experts who have rubbished the thought that the culture has watered down. Their comments come on the heels of the Jamaica 60 Grand Gala celebration on Saturday. Sandy Williams reports.
Over the years, there have been debates about whether the Jamaican culture has watered down. But Professor of Culture, Gender and Society at the University of the West Indies, Mona campus, Donna Hope, has rubbished the thought, noting that the culture has instead evolved.
Watering down of culture, I think people expect us to still be sitting on the sidewalk and using a grater to scrape off our fingers and waiting on Mass Storm with the donkey to give us a ride to 20 miles down the road. This is a different world, and so we have developed, we have evolved. Jamaica has significantly developed, even though people pretend otherwise. And so the culture, for me, is alive and well.
And senior lecturer in cultural studies at UWI Mona, Dr. Sonia Stanley Naya, agrees, adding that consistent effort must be made to preserve the culture.
The young child of 5 and 4 and 6 and 10 viewing a drone show, we would say, oh, that's not Jamaican culture, but it was able to transmit aspects of our culture. When we saw the images of the athletes, when we saw the images of our athletes, when we saw the images of the Jolly Bus, it was fascinating. So I think we have to, be a little more considerate, I think, or certainly knowledgeable about how cultural shifts happen, and at the same time make efforts, swift and consistent efforts to preserve our culture.
In the meantime, Professor Hope says that the symbols of Jamaica's cultural heritage need to be strengthened.
So, for example, we saw a float parade over the Emancipation weekend. A lot of Jamaicans have never seen a float parade, and so many people were very happy to see that float parade in Kingston. That, I think, and in other parts of the country, I think things like those as a part of these annual celebrations help to keep people connected to the cultural heritage of who we are as Jamaicans.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
To other news, Christopher Townsend, the attorney representing Constable Noel Maitland, who is charged with the murder of social media personality Donnelly Donaldson, is raising concerns about the legal process in the case. Mr. Townsend, who appeared in court today, said there has been a lot of misinformation.
Social media had it that the matter was set for today. All our checks suggest that nobody could tell us, including the investigating officer, when the matter would be set for, when the matter would be put before the court. We have been asking from last week when it is that the matter is coming before the court, and nobody could tell us, right? Which suggests that I don't know if anybody is in charge. So we came to court just in case the matter was in fact here and social media was right and nobody else knew, but social media knew.
Constable Maitland is scheduled to make his first court appearance tomorrow. This was disclosed in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court this morning. He was charged on August 2 following an investigation by the Major Investigation Division MID. Ms. Donaldson was reported missing on July 13, 2 days after she went to visit Constable Maitland at his St. Andrew apartment. The police believe she was murdered between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. on July 12. Her body has not been found. However, investigators say they have forensic evidence to show that Miss Maitland was killed in the apartment and her body later dumped. And it's now time for the Business Minute. Here's Cody and Barrett.
In business news, Lasco Financial Services raked in more profit in its first quarter ended June. Post-tax earnings were $83.8 million versus $75 million for the same period last year. Total earnings for the company, however, declined. Revenues came in at $564.5 million compared with $591 million last year. The financial company says its improved post-tax performance was largely driven by a $20.9 million saving from lowered finance cost. Its revenue performance, however, fell due to lower interest income from loans. Ryanair won't be offering flights at rock-bottom prices anymore due to the soaring cost of fuel. Chief Executive Michael O'Leary says the era of the €10 ticket is over. The airline's average fare will rise from around €40 last year to roughly €50 over the next 5 years. News in oil. Oil prices rose by over 1% on Thursday after the International Energy Agency raised its oil demand growth forecast for this year as soaring gas prices drive some customers to switch to oil. Brent crude futures gained 1.1% to $98.44 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose 1.1% to $92.96. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And it's now time for the top regional and international stories with Sandy Williams.
In regional news, the UN Trade and Development body UNCTAD has called for action to curb cryptocurrencies in developing nations in 3 policy briefs published on Wednesday. Although private digital currencies have rewarded some individuals and institutions, they are an unstable financial asset that can bring social risks and costs, the agency warned. UNCTAD said their benefits to some are overshadowed by the threats they pose to financial stability, domestic resource mobilization, and the security of monetary systems. On the international scene, health authorities announced on Wednesday that children living in London will be offered an extra dose of the polio vaccine following the discovery of polio virus in sewage in the British capital. The UK Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunization said a targeted inactivated polio vaccine booster dose should be offered to all children between the ages of 1 and 9 in all London boroughs. The UK Health Security Agency says this will ensure a high level of protection from paralysis and help reduce further spread of the virus. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
Well, that's it for the Midday News. I'm Giovanni Dennis. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.